was it now the United Church of Christ, or they changed. I don't know what it's called now. This is a picture somebody sent me of a more modern picture of Fordham. This is the same place I was just telling you about. This is a pub, another pub. This is St. Peter's Church. This is built by it was an Anglo-Saxon church, and every succeeding group stuck a piece on. So it's been repaired many, many times since it was built about the 10th or 11th century. Incidentally, George Washington's grandmother is buried in that churchyard. The building that you see on the right is Victoria Hall. This is where we went to school. We did not integrate with the local village school. In case of air raids, we didn't have any shelters, but they dug trenches in the fields around. In case of an air raid, we could run and take cover in the slit trenches. One of the things I used to do was walk down to the river, which was the River Snail, which came from the village of Snailwell, which is up the street, and go fishing. And I used to use a net and catch minnows, or tiddlers as we call them, or tadpoles. I used to take them home in a little jam jar. They never seemed to last very long for some reason. Another thing that we did, this is elderberry. Elderberry, as you may or may not know, has pith in the inside of the branches. It's not solid. We used to cut a piece of elderberry, clean out the inside, and use them as pea shooters. And they were great because in the summertime, these are the berries. When the berries are ripe and you shoot somebody, it's like hitting them with a paintball. And it splatters, it's pretty, they get purple stains all over them. And before they're ripe and they're green and they're hard, they're like pellets and they sting like hell. That was one of our activities we did. We had no toys because we had no money. Another thing we did was make catapults or slingshots.
Yeah, my brother used to make those.
And we used to, now these were hard to make because you couldn't find it rubber. It was very difficult to find that elastic. Everything was impossible to get hold of. These we used to use for shooting on bottles, at windows, and each other. Boys are really rotten. They're not nearly as nice as girls. Another game we used to play in the fall is conkers. I'm sure you all know about conkers, right?
No.
Conker is a horse chestnut, which is an inedible type of chestnut. And the way you play conkers, you take the nut and you drill a hole through it, and you thread a piece of string and you tie a knot. And then one guy holds it up like this and the other guy tries to hit it like this and break it. Now if I break yours, and yours is a virgin, never been used before, I'm a oneer. And then if somebody else hits mine and breaks it, he's a twoer and a threeer, and that's how you do it. I never knew the secret that you boil them in vinegar. And they're hard as a rock, they're like this. I never knew that, and I never got past maybe two. This actually is a picture, it's a contest. This is an Italian in a conker contest. It's now become big time. A lot of mothers were bringing their children back. And this is a propaganda picture. This is Hitler saying, don't take your children back to the city. Another thing that we could not do is fly a kite. Now my wife says to me, son, let's go fly a kite. Well, I couldn't do it in those days. You were not allowed to fly kites. They were afraid you might be signaling to the enemy. You also didn't hear church bells ringing. The only time a church bell was supposed to be rung is if we were being invaded by the Nazis, and we were constant fear of being invaded. This is very scary for a young kid. It's scary for an adult, but very scary for a 6-year-old. Actually, this is an 8-year-old. I had hair back then. Not much, but food was in very, very short supply, because the majority of the food in Britain is imported, and the Germans were sinking our ships left and right. So ships went out in convoys. This is a large convoy. They were protected by cruisers and destroyers, and still many of them were sunk. As a result, rationing was imposed right at the beginning of the war, and everything was rationed. We also had to carry an identity card like this. If the police or a soldier stopped you, you had to produce it. And rations were unbelievably small. I don't know if you can read this, and I won't read it all to you, because I'm sure most of you can read it as well as I can. 1 pound 3 ounces of meat a week, 4 ounces of bacon, 3 pints of milk, 2 ounces of butter, 1 egg a week. There was a time, my mother told me, that it was 1 egg a month that you were rationing. That's if you could find them. Now, if you have plenty of money, there was always a black market. The wealthy didn't go hungry. We were not wealthy. My father was a presser in the tailoring industry. Grocery. There was no brands anymore. Everything was national butter or national cheese or so forth. Now, fortunately for us, my brother Toby, who still is in Baltimore, was enlisted in the Air Force, as I say, went in 1941. Toby is very lucky. Toby was stationed in Nassau, in the Bahamas. Can you imagine a better place to be in a war than the officers' mess in Nassau? It was a rotten job, but someone had to do it. Toby worked in the officers' mess, and occasionally he would send us care packages, which were very, very welcome. He sent us things like Spam. Everybody laughs at Spam. Spam was a delicacy, and dried eggs. Have you ever dried eggs? Not much fun, but when you get 1 egg a month, this is very welcome.
Hello?
Everybody had to line up for everything, or queue.
Yeah, Mom's presentation.
This shows a bus queue, but you queued up for food, you queued up for the entertainment if you went to the movies, you queued up for everything. And if you try to push in and get in front of somebody else, you'd hear about it from them. There were 2 grocery stores in the village. There was, I've forgotten the other one, but this was the grocery shop, and this picture was taken in 1927 of Mr. William Borza Bloom. This is Maggie. Maggie used to ride a bicycle around the village once a week and take orders. We used to get 2 ounces of this and 3 ounces of that, and it was delivered in a van a day or 2 later. For some reason, Maggie took a liking to me. I can't imagine why. And every week she'd leave me a penny. A penny wasn't much, even in 1942, 41. However, my allowance, or my pocket money, was $1 a week. My mother used to send me a postal order once a week. A shilling was about 15 cents. So I had, 16 cents to play with. Now, it doesn't sound like a whole lot, right? But for that money, with that money in my pocket, I'd walk down and wait for the bus. This is another view of Fordham Church. Incidentally, I'll momentarily digress. You see the signpost here. At some point in the war, all of these signposts were removed. They thought if the Germans landed, they wouldn't know where they were. Like they didn't have maps. So, if you were traveling somewhere, they took down all the signposts from all the crossroads and all the stations. I'm sure the Germans had better maps than we did. But anyway, I'd wait here for the Eastern Counties bus. It's a bus like that. And I'd take a ride to Soham, which was 3 miles away, which was the nearest place that had a cinema. And we'd go to the Saturday matinee. Now the seats were 5 pence, 7 pence, 9 pence, and a shilling. So of course I used to sit in the 7 pence. I wasn't going to sit in the front row. And we watched, there was an A movie, a big movie, a B movie. There was the newsreels and the serial, Tom Hart or Buck Rogers or whatever. And the kids used to scream. We used to carry our cat guns with us and shoot at the screen. I don't know whether girls do that kind of thing. I mean, I still remember, we made so much fuss. The usherette, I still remember walking up and down the aisle saying, "Shut up, you humbugs! Shut up, you little humbugs!"